everyone, Katrina Sawa here with jumpstartyourbiznow.com and Jumpstart Publishing. And I have my friend Anke Herrmann here with Taming the Tech Monster. I said that right?
You did say that perfectly, yes.
She's calling in from Australia, yes?
Well, I'm in Spain. I'm from Germany, but I live in Spain. I've lived in Australia, whatever.
We are an international broadcast today. And today we're talking about tech reality check. So if you're an entrepreneur or a coach or consultant or anybody in an online business, you're probably like overwhelmed with so many different tech things that you can use in your business. So many of them are awesome. The goal is to be more efficient and more profitable, right? So you work less and make more. And so technology can allow us to do that. But I have so many clients all the time, and I'm sure you do too, Anke, that just don't know what to do, or they buy into the high-end thing. So before we give some tips on the tech and what the real reality check is, please tell people a little bit more about you, and then I'll tell them about me for those people watching that don't know one or two of us. So tell them how you got started and what you're doing today.
Yeah. No, well, thanks for inviting me. I was looking forward to this because, we're going to have fun with the topic for sure. So, I mean, I'm from Germany originally, but, as we kind of quickly touched on, I've moved around quite a bit, but I've been in the south of Spain for over 18 years now, so I'm not crazy. And I'm also, I think it's kind of reflected also, I'm one of those multi-passionate people. Started out as a linguist, and I stumbled into software development while I was living in Australia. And I was like, I had all of them. Oh, I'm way too old for this. And oh, no, I'm a girl. I'm not that technical. And, and so it's all too hard. And I've had all of that until one day it dawned on me. And I thought, well, wait, programming language. It's a language. It's got vocabulary and it's tiny and it's got structure. So it's got grammar and it's nice and rigid. So basically, bottom line, it's just another language, just simpler. And that really opened up that world for me, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I know how to learn languages. So it helped me. It helped me. What bottom line I teach most of my clients is I help them see that I have what it takes to figure this out. Doesn't mean there isn't a lot to learn, but it's like, yeah, you can learn it. Like, it's just another thing to learn, and there is no, tech monster basically. But, when I moved to Spain, I started my business, I needed to let my creative side out. So I ditched my software developer job and started a sewing business in Spain. And I made flamenco costumes for many years. So that was like a big, giant crash course in personal development and what to do in business and also what not to do. So now I've literally come around full circle and taken everything that I've learned about creating, about learning, about tech and about business to help my clients build their business online without the tech struggles and without, basically getting sucked into the rabbit hole.
Yeah, because tech can really help us, but it can also hinder us if we don't understand it or don't get a little tech savvy. So for me, I started my business 20 years ago and I'm in Northern California. And I used to be in advertising sales. I've been in sales and marketing jobs all my life, but I was in advertising sales for the local newspaper, you guys, back in, 1999 to 20 or something like that. Anyways, it was so long ago, I can't even remember. But I fell in love with small business owners that just didn't know what they didn't know, right? And I always had to consult with them on other things they needed to do besides just running out of paper because they just didn't know stuff. And so I found, after a couple of years of doing that, I'm like, oh my God, these business owners need help. So I jumped out and started my own business. And it was really just local stuff because there was no video, there was no social media, there was no online anything. I wouldn't even have known how to get a client, across the country or wherever. So it was local networking, marketing, follow-up, that kind of thing is how I started my business. And so the tech, I barely had a website in the beginning. I had an email, list, and that was the tech back then. It's just an email list. It was so much simpler, but I wasn't making as much money as I am now, and I'm not reaching all the people that I can now. So tech can be a great thing. I had to learn it all along the way too. And some of it I pick up pretty easily, but others I don't. And so I learned a lot, and I've tried all kinds of different tech, and I've invested tens of thousands of dollars in my technology and my people to help me set it up. And, it's, I want to save people money and time by going into the wrong things. So that's why I'm here today with you, because I think we need to just let's give them a reality check. What they need, what they don't need, what they need to pay for, what they don't need to pay for, and what's going to make their life easier, what's not going to make their life easier, and who to listen to and who not to listen to, right? So what are a couple, what's the number one thing that you usually like to share with clients when they first work with you? Is there something that you always share?
Yeah, there's one question that is really the kind of tipping point in the middle, and based on the answer to that question, everything else unfolds from that. And when they talk about an online program or something that they want to offer, the first question is, have you sold it?
Say it again.
I asked them whether they've sold it before, whether somebody has paid them for the thing, right? And because there's basically, and I've learned this in software development, literally when you think, okay, how software's built and how flamenco dresses are made and kind of anything's created, process is always the same. So when you first have an idea, you need to kind of figure out whether this is just a nice idea, or especially when you want to make money from it, you need to first find out whether this is just a nice idea for you or whether other people actually want to pay money for this thing, right? And so the big tipping point is that, because until you know that for sure, in the fact, not because somebody said I would pay for this, but somebody actually has paid for it, you're in my books, you're in the validation phase, and you want to keep tech as simple as you possibly can. Doesn't mean you shouldn't use tech tools, but you just use what you have. You use what you have, or, obviously there are, if you need some stuff, well, there are recommendations for that, but you want to keep that as light as possible, right? Versus, okay, now I have sold it, so I know for sure I'm onto something. The task now not is to find the first soul to pay me for it. The task now is to, how can I make this thing efficient? How can I turn this into a mechanism that allows me to serve more people without ending up spending my time with silly admin stuff that is error prone and manual and annoying for everybody. So now the task is, okay, how can I choose tech in a strategic way to make this whole thing efficient, so that if I ever wanted to scale and really grow, I'm in a position to do that. So the key question is, where you at? And most people, somebody actually said this really nicely. They said most people want to build a widget factory before they've ever sold a widget.
Right, because it's easier to be behind the scenes preparing and planning and prepping than it is to be out marketing and selling and be having exposure. It is 10 times easier, and I catch so many people doing that. Well, I'm preparing to launch, I'm preparing my website, I'm preparing this. Well, just go live with it, right? And I would agree with you that sometimes people get into high-end technology before they have a proven thing to sell. Don't do that. Like a membership is a prime example, or an online training. Like you want to create an online training or course. They'll go buy course software. They'll spend all this money setting up the course and the software. Haven't sold a single one yet. And they will go and then they'll launch the thing and maybe sell it, maybe not, right? Yeah. So I say sell it messy first, right?
That's exactly what that's exactly what I mean when I say validate the thing first. Because at the end of the day, you always need the three parts to it. You need to have a mechanism to deliver the thing. You need to have a mechanism to sell the thing, and you need to have a way to offer it to other people. Now, how complex that gets depends. If you just need to see whether you can actually sell the thing, well, when it comes to offering it to people, you sell it to the people you already know. You just send an email, you pick up the phone, you say, hey, I've got this thing, I think you might like it. Do you wanna have a look? Right? That's your, you want to use people you already know. Now the selling thing, how do they pay you? Here's a PayPal, my PayPal link. Do me a bank transfer. that. The delivery could be on email, it could be a Zoom call, like it can be low tech, no tech, super simple. But I think what you really need is those first sales, because
Yes.
otherwise you might build this big castle that nobody wants to live in. And that's a really, really typical problem. That, and it works. I mean, it's part of is the procrastination thing, but the other part, it's also people get bombarded like, oh, you need a funnel and you need this and scale with webinars and there's all these things, and people often find themselves in the situation, oh, I have this idea for this course, for this program, and now I need all this stuff. The perception is that they need all this stuff before they can start. So basically the message is, no, you don't.
Yeah, I agree. And so, yes, there's some amazing software out there that can help you run your course or do a group program and all that. But the time it's going to take you to set that up or get comfortable with the tech is going to slow you down from making the money. So I always say, make the money first. Yeah, at least make a few sales. I usually recommend they use their website. So I always say that your website is the hub of your business. It's the hub. Now, did I ever do landing page software and funnel software? I have, but am I in that now? No, because it is very constricting. And if you want to do a lot of different things, you have to create so many things over there that it's very time consuming. Whereas if I use my website, which is on WordPress, mind you, because it's super simple, and it also, when you learn it, it's simple, but also I can clone pages quickly, change a bunch of things, change an opt-in form or change a button, and go live with it probably in 10 minutes. So, I mean, I do everything through my website, and I do have some landing pages, but we're moving them out because it's just not because the email marketing system and the CRMs that we use change often. You might change those kind of often. There's too many out there right now. And when you buy into them, you find, oh, this one, I don't like this one anymore. Or or this one, like I was in a couple where I lost a bunch of subscribers because a lot of people on that platform were spamming people. And so my email address got associated with people who were spammers on this one platform. Therefore, a lot of my emails got spammed. And then I lost a bunch of subscribers. I went from like 14,000 subscribers to 4 one year, a few years ago. And it was painful. But sometimes you got to clean up your list and stuff. But still, I was like,
that's a lot, yeah. And it's a great point to say, well, you want to, I always say, like, play in somebody else's backyard all you want, just don't build your house there, right? And normally I think of social media when I say that, but you just brought up a point that's really relevant to that sense, like, yeah, even your platforms might change. So if you have to rebuild everything from scratch, and it's so tempting. I have whole rant posts on the like all-in-one platforms. Like there's nothing wrong with all-in-one platforms. They just quite often position their offer a little bit misleading, like, as if they kind of present as if the thing does all the tech for you. And in my experience, complexity is a little bit like energy. Like you can shift it and it can transform, but it never goes anywhere. Like if that thing does a lot, it will be complex. Like don't be fooled by anyone who says, oh, our system does everything and it's super simple. Like no, either it does everything or it's simple. Like it cannot be both. And if you spend so much time fiddling, and that's a rabbit hole, because quite a lot of these tools have quite a learning curve, especially when this tech stuff isn't your thing. Like the learning curve is dramatic, right? And it's just a rabbit hole to go in.
Right. So let's talk about some of the reality checks. What are the top 3 things people need? I say a website, a CRM, or a place to do email marketing that also can have opt-in boxes and stuff and autoresponders, and then a video platform, right? So like Zoom. I mean, seriously, you can run a business with those 3 things and nothing else and succeed and make tens of thousands of dollars a month. What do you say?
My list would look very similar. Like to start out, I'd even like to when I look at the way email marketing systems function these days, you could even get away without a website at the beginning. Not all the, like,
yes,
you can have your one-page website, nice and pretty, as a landing page of your email marketing system. So you could even get away without a website for a bit, but email marketing is first. Yes, Zoom, like no doubt about that. One thing I wish I'd caught on a little sooner was actually a tool to help you stay organized. Because this is usually something that you tend to think of only when you already have, you're kind of here and stuff falls through the cracks because you forget, oh yeah, boy, I was meant to send my bio and now I'm no longer invited to that podcast because I didn't send the thing. Right? Yeah. So, or like, oh, I was supposed to check in with so-and-so, or hey, can you promote my thing? Oh, well, I don't know, right? So this part, like something like, I don't know, a task management thing that is easy to feed. Something
so what kind of software are you talking about?
Well, I'm talking ClickUp. ClickUp's my favorite at the moment. I'm a bit of a whore there, so I can change that can change. ClickUp is my absolute favorite. But there's a bunch of them. There's people work with Asana and Trello and whatever it is. It doesn't really kind of matter that much which one it is, but just use something and get used to using that early before you need it, before you have the water up to here, because then it also helps you work with other people because you can basically everything's in one place. Stuff gets done quicker because you don't have to, oh, where did I save that document? I don't know, was it on Google? Like you don't have any of that. Everything's in one place. The amount of headspace it frees up, that surprised me most when I really started to kind of use a tool like that the amount of headspace, you get an email, you need to do something with it, but not now. You pop it on the system, and that's the thing. When you have one like ClickUp where you can have like a little integration where out of your email, you just send it straight over. So you don't even have to, it's easy to feed. That's always important for me. But then you can, you put your date on it, and then you can forget about it. You know exactly it isn't going to fall through the cracks. It's a lifesaver, and it's helpful because it'll take a while if you're not used to working out of your calendar and getting organized. And so it takes a little bit of getting used to. So you don't want to do that when you're already super stressed. So you want to do that when you're still chilled and get into the habit of being organized. So that would definitely be on the list for me.
And you make a good point. I mean, one of my team members last year used ClickUp, and it was great for her. Now, I'm not a fan of using those online platforms. So there's different personalities, right? So know your personality. Some people are more linear focused and will get into those and love it, but be careful because those types of people tend to often stay there too long. Like you stay on your ClickUp organizing things too much and you're not in the sales and marketing, right?
Oh boy, yes, I've seen that too. I mean, it's a rabbit hole again. That's true.
Good. It's awesome. Yes. Now, my other team member, like I have assistants. I have like 4 different assistants right now. And I have for the last 10 years or so, just various different ones. They all use different things. One uses Asana. I think another one, a previous used Basecamp. Those kinds of online platforms are great for organizing your stuff, like you said, and the tasks and the projects at hand and all the different things that you have to do per project. I actually create like usually a little mind map and then show it to my team and then say, you guys go organize it. And I'll just be over here doing the creative stuff, right? So know your personality. Know who should be taking care of your tech because those things are great and my team uses them. I don't use them. So you might use them, Anke, but then that's perfect. Yeah. So like know if you're going to use them, great. I like to put some of my tasks on just my Google Calendar. I like to keep it as simple as possible. So I put things on Google Calendar. I think both things are awesome. So know which one you're going to do. I learned about 6 years into my business, hiring certain types of virtual assistants and things that there was certain stuff I didn't want to do. And you have to get to that point because otherwise you won't be making a lot of money every month. It'll be way too hard to make a lot of money every month if you're trying to be the tech team, the HR, all the different things. So yes.
And I love the point you're making. I really, really love the point you're making. And see, that's what I like. This is really how I operate with everything. It's like, it's very much on a sort of a functional level. Like you need to be organized, right? And if that works, if you work best off your paper calendar, of your journal, well, use that. right? If you want to use a platform that does it all, like use that. But I mean, just think about and be conscious about it. How do you stay organized? How are you going to manage an increasing workload? Right? That's the question. And there's a million answers to it. And it's about, as you said, it's about finding out how you tick, how you best learn. And see, that's why I always say it's a real crash course in personal growth. Like you get to know yourself better than in any other way. And the same applies for, for how to deliver an online course or like whatever you do. It's always the same thing. Well, yes, you need to find a way to deliver what you've sold. There's a million ways of doing it. And marketing is like there's a million ways of connecting with people and telling them about what it is you do for them. And that's the thing. Within that, you can get creative.
I agree. Let's talk about scheduling software, because that's probably the biggest thing that encompasses our world today when we're scheduling calls and having people schedule calls with us. And there's so many out there. People ask me all the time, which one should I use? I'm like, it really doesn't matter. Like pick one that you like, right? That you find easy to use. I personally have one that my assistant knows how to update, right? And I learned a little bit, but it takes me too long to figure it out. So I just delegate stuff to her. But the reason that I chose the one that I'm in is because it allows me to have two calendars and calendars in two different places, so that I can send prospects and clients over here and joint venture partners and collaborative type of partners over here. I don't want them to see each other's calendar, and I want different availability for those people. So a lot of calendars don't do that, different availability. Like if you have them all in one. So that's why I chose mine. So I had to figure out the function that I needed first before choosing the calendar. Right. The one I use is schedule once, but what do you like?
Well, it's the same. It's exactly that. It's like the clearer you are on what it is you want this thing to do, and that's why when this and the scheduling one as such a sort of a small like task, it's really easy to be clear on that. The same is true if you want to run a big program, right? The clearer you are on how you want this to run and what you want people to receive and how. So I like Schedule One too, because I really like the flexibility of creating different pages with different appointment types. So it's one of those where you have to get your head around a little bit, but once you do, it's really powerful. I think the one thing that I find I watch out for is how well does it play with the other tools, the other toys I use. Right, there is one that I really like. It's called zcal.co, and it's super simple. It's really pretty. It's really user, like nobody has messed up time zones with it. So that's always one of those things. And it has some really funny little, but they're really new still. What I like about it is has a wonderful function for finding a time, like the doodle polls, when you find a time that works for a bunch of people. It does that in a super slick, elegant, ad-free, distraction-free way. So I really like it for that. Now, the downside is they're so new, they haven't got any integration yet. Like you cannot notify your CRM when somebody's made a call. So it's not the main thing I would use at this point. They're working on it. So this is one of the things that I watch out for, that if somebody makes a booking, can I send, do they have an integration, or do they play with Zapier, or is there a way for me to send that contact over, especially when it's for prospects, right?
Yes,
so
I agree.
That's something that I look out for.
I agree. I've been in this one software since probably the beginning of time. And I left it for a little bit and came back, and it's never changed in 17 years, never updated, but it's my favorite technology. I wish they would just update it and make it integratable with all these other things, and they haven't. I'm like, oh, epic fail, because it is the best software I've found, and so easy to use and easy to create products. A lot of times when, for me and some coaches that I know, we just, people get onto a call with us, and then we might make them a special offer, like not our standard. So so sometimes I'm on the phone with somebody and I'm in my cart just adding a product real quick at a certain price point that I just made an offer for. And then boom, I have a link like within a minute, and it's that fast. But many they made it too complicated now with a lot of the carts that you have to create a workflow and you have to create a product and then you have to link it to this and you have to link it to that. I'm like, oh my God, it takes like a half an hour to create a product. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. And that's one of my biggest pet peeves about most of the new softwares is all the workflows and campaigns that make it so hard to actually just sell something quickly, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about the funnel, which works. It works, but when you're in a sales,
well, it works for a specific kind of offer, right? It works for sort of a one-to-many. Like if you set up your thing and then you have an email campaign that goes there, that kind of setup does not work well for you selling on the phone, right? Where you want to make up something on the fly. So it doesn't work for that, right? So it's like, this is also, and I've been through a lot of different platforms where I was like, I do have the group offers, but I also have these one-to-ones. Like I need something where I can have like a client portal thing. Like it's forever. It's like this is the other part. I think this is the other point to keep in mind that the perfect piece of software, you're probably going to have to build it yourself. Like there'll be always something that you don't like. And there will always be something won't have. It's like with real relationships. At the end of the day, you have to kind of make a decision and then make the most of it until you find a better one.
And it's true. And please don't build it yourself because there's probably somebody.
No, I know that was a joke. Yeah, I mean, even I wouldn't think of that. It's like, oh no, this does not sound like a good project. But it's just saying, it's like it's not gonna. If you go and jump from platform to platforms every time there is a little pet peeve, it's like, there will be. Okay, this is a showstopper. I just cannot work like that if it doesn't have that. Well, fine, right? But if there will always be.
There's always something you won't like about a certain software.
Yeah.
I found there's always something.
Those, like when this gets a little more complex, that really show. But it really also opens up, like it shows the other problem that often people have.
Yeah.
It's especially when they don't like the tech stuff. Like this, when they do like it, they go down the rabbit hole. They spend all their time fiddling with different platforms, right? Now, the people who don't particularly like tech stuff, when they have sold their thing and they've done the first, like, okay, I just kind of put stuff in a Google Drive and we're off and just make those quick sales. When they now ready to sort of offer it to more people, I literally had people come to me and she goes, oh, well, I've got this program, people really like it. And I'm like, well, why don't you offer it again? And she goes, oh, just the thought of, I don't know, like when they have to set this up and then when somebody signs, I have to do this. And I'm like, what on earth are you doing? Yeah, that same spreadsheet that works okay when you work with 5 people, it's going to kill you when you try and run a group with 50 on the back of that. Like then all of a sudden the same tool that works fine and that same, just make me a bank transfer, that then becomes the stumbling block when you try and serve more people, because then you have to sit there, hover over your account all day to see who paid. And if they don't put the proper subject line in, you don't even know who it is. Right? So then you end up creating this manual, error-prone admin nightmare, and then, hiring somebody else won't help because they're going to mess it up too. So it's just like, that's the place when you really want to think about and say, well, take out some time, just like you want to take out some time to work on your business and not just running on the hamster wheel. It's like to think through, okay, what do I need and what stack will make that possible for me?
So I'll say 2 things to that. First of all, I agree. What happens with most people is they get into what I call manual labor chaos. And you're trying to do too many things personally, one-on-one with all the leads that are coming through. And so we have to automate, delegate, and systematize a lot of the lead gen, okay? Before you even get to talk to them or touch them, they need to go through a few hoops. It doesn't have to be a workflow or a campaign. However, it could be some different pages. It could be an opt-in. It could be sending out your regular emails. I think what's important is connecting with that audience and really nurturing that relationship, because you want them to finally raise their hand to say, I think I want to talk to you now, or it's time. Like, I've watched your videos, I've read your blog, I've seen your emails, I see what you're doing, I've seen all your stuff on your website. Some people say they've spent 2 hours watching my YouTube videos. I'm like, what? Like 2 hours? And then they'll be like, yep, ready to go. Let's go. Right. And then they're more of a qualified person to talk to, you know. And yes, you don't have to have an assistant like me right off the bat. I didn't. I had to learn more though, and I had to do more myself. But it is nice to, as soon as possible, start delegating certain things, especially with your tech, because if you're running a coaching business or something, that is your expertise. The tech is not your expertise. So learn, I say, just enough to be dangerous.
See, that's what I say too. Yeah. Be like, don't be that client who gets ripped off because you don't know. Don't be that client who is a nightmare client because you don't get anything. Like, know enough to be a good client for somebody, right? And I think it's also build, like, you cannot outsource a system that doesn't exist yet. You know, so that idea of, oh, I don't have a clue and I don't want to deal with it. Like, you know what I call fear-based outsourcing? Yeah. And I just dump it onto a virtual assistant who has neither access nor overview. Like, they don't have your vision, because virtual assistants, they do have the skills to help you on, you know, quite often, you know, some are more mechanical than others, but most of the time they don't know enough about you and your business to build the system for you. You know, you cannot, just because you don't know how it works, oh, I just get somebody else to do it. That won't work. You know, like, you need to build out how this should function, or give somebody enough, like, work with them to really build that system before somebody else can operate it.
You do need, sometimes you need someone on the outside looking in though, and discovering what you're doing, and then being able to give suggestions. That's something I do. I know you probably do that too. And it's just so important, because you just don't see what you don't see. You don't see what's missing. I call it the holes and the opportunities in your business. There's holes where the systems don't work, where there's breaks in automation, where lead gen is coming in and then stops here because there's a hole, there's a broken system, right? And then there's opportunities for really turning on that marketing hose and pulling in a lot more people, but people are so scared because they have manual labor chaos in the back end. So, but you don't know what you don't know. And so I would say be careful too on getting into expensive software or lifetime software and then thinking you have to stay in that, right? Because even if you buy into something early on and it ends up not being the thing you need, I mean, people are out there selling technologies with making huge commissions in the back end. They don't care if you're in it or if you're in the wrong one. So be careful, like, really get some advice on how to strategically choose which technology. I want you to do it the most affordable way possible. So I'm always looking for, like, asking questions like, what are you selling? What's your personality? What kind of clients? How do you want to sell? And then, okay, then I recommend this, this, and this, right?
Absolutely. So, yeah, and I agree. Like, actually, like, when I wrote a little rant, like a giant rant post on LinkedIn recently, where it was like what to watch out for before you, like, sign up, especially all in, like, big chunky all-in-one platforms. And one of the crucial giant red flags is when you're in a webinar where you didn't, like, I've seen those, you know, when you get to the webinar and it's supposed to be about lead magnets, like, you're not coming there to buy software. Like, you think you get taught about lead magnets, right? And next thing you know, what's on offer is actually the software that does it all, right? And it's today's special offer. Spend a bunch of money on a year-long commitment on software that you haven't even seen. Like, no, you know, it's like, whatever. Even if the software is really like, oh, this looks really good, I will always go 6 months on a monthly plan. If, you know, when I know this thing inside out, and really think, well, yeah, this works for me, by all means, go save some money by the annual plan, but not, because also if somebody demos it with demo data, you know, perfect little situation, you're not going to know whether this works for you until you try to do your work with it, right? And see whether it actually works for you. So if you're locked into something for a year, if somebody tries to force you to lock you in for a year, like, I'd say, like, run quickly, and, like, don't. It's never in your best interest.
Well, we need to probably tell them, like, how to get a hold of us, right? So go ahead, Anke, tell them, like, I know you have a book and all that kind of stuff. So what would you suggest they do next?
Well, I suggest they go to tamingthetechmonster.com, and there's a free copy of my book. And once you're on my email list, you get hold of me in all kinds of different ways. So that would be the way to go.
Yeah, your book. So download your free copy of her book at tamingthetechmonster.com.
There it is, Taming the Tech Monster. And that little dragon, like, he really says it all. It's like what looks like a scary monster is really just a friendly dragon that wants to play. So don't let him scare you.
Awesome. Yeah, that's so key. And I love that. And it's probably simplified, right, for people who aren't that techie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Awesome. And I would say if you want to check out my stuff, I do have I have a bunch of free stuff on my website. If you go to jumpstartyourbiznow.com/free trainings. So I'm really about creating the system and the process that you want to take people through. So from the initial lead gen to the marketing, the follow-up, and the sales process, how to really get stuff sold. So how to sell. And so I look at your website, your offers, what you're selling, your price points, your mindset, how you want to sell that. And there's a few free trainings in there, one about your website, one about speaking, one about jumpstarting your business and your marketing. There's a lot of different things depending on what your goals are. There's also a need number worksheet in there that's actually good because a lot of times people that I talk to have really low money goals. And when I say they think they're high, they think, oh, I'm going to make 6 figures, 100,000. Okay, that's $8,333 a month. But then they're selling something for like $200. I'm like, well, that's going to be a difficult situation for you, right? Why not have a $10,000 program and sell one a month? I mean, or more, right? And so it's getting yourself to that mindset, knowing you're worth it. So there's a lot of stuff there that we have to unpack, and
Totally.
so you can.
I always say what looks like a tech problem never is. Like, it's always something else. And once that's clear, well, exactly, it's the process. It's what you're saying, like, what is it that you actually try and do and how, right? And then once the clearer that gets, the more obvious the best tools and the best systems become. So it's always a lot more, people are always surprised how little technical that actually is, right? So it's people usually quite, oh, I didn't think it was that much fun, right?
Yeah, good. Well, this has been fun. It's been fun talking to you. And, hopefully those of you watching have gotten some good ideas. It's hard to give tech advice on something like this because I say, unless we ask you questions about your business, what you're selling, price point, how comfortable you are, it's hard to advise you. And so if people are advising you on which tech you need and without even talking to you or asking you questions about your business, I would run the other way and not get what they say. But we're happy to have conversations with you to find out more and then give you the right advice for you.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
So
yeah, the best answer, the one-word answer is always, it depends.
It depends. And I know you don't like to hear that, people, but with this, it depends. So if someone's saying, oh, you've got to do X, Y, Z, and that's the only one I would ever recommend, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't do it. So thanks for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was loads of fun.
Yeah.
And yes, I hope people got some insights and some like, oh, okay, well, this is actually not as overwhelming as it seems.
You do have to embrace the tech, though, you guys. We're in. I mean, it's crazy. This whole world revolves around tech now, so you have to embrace it. And so we'll talk to you soon.
It's just slowing down, It's like when it's hard, you're skipping steps. It's like anything, just slow down one step at a time.
Yep. Thank you, Anke. Have a good day, you guys.
You too.